Everybody, welcome to Unity of Stockton. I'm Sheila Johnson, minister at Unity of Stockton. We are a community that believes in oneness of mind, body, and spirit, and we are a positive path for spiritual living. Welcome, so glad you're here. I just want to reach out and give you all a big cyber hug, so I hope you're all saying hi to each other on the comments section. We will, in case anyone asks, post this on our new Unity Stockton YouTube channel and after the service, and also on Unity's Facebook page, maybe on our website, wherever we can. All the places we can. So glad you're here in my backyard. I wanted to say, what is unity about? People often ask that. Just briefly, I would say that we're spiritually, not necessarily religious, even though there are a lot of people in our community who are religious, but more spiritual than religious normally. We honor the divine presence and nuggets of truth in all religions, all paths, no matter where you are on the path. That's where you need to be, and we honor that. We believe in metaphysical interpretation, which is looking beyond the literal to a deeper exploration of spiritual principles and ideas. We believe that our life is our opportunity to develop and practice our spiritual principles in human form. We believe we always have a choice. We are not victims. We may not have a choice about things that come along and happen to us, but we do have choices within that situation about how we are within that situation. So that's just in a nutshell. So namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in each and every one of you, as we all are creations of God, and we all have that spark of divinity within us. So the light in me, the divine in me, the God in me sees that in you. So I'm talking today about friendship, and I came across a quote on the internet. Of course, the internet. What would we do without that? And it says, it's by C.S. Lewis, and he says, friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." Take a moment and think back when you've experienced that with good friends in your life. And for you, good friends might mean an acquaintance who becomes a friend, a stranger who becomes a friend, a terrible, awful person, someone you thought was a terrible, awful person, and when you got to know them and understand them, they may have become one of your best friends. There was a blessing in that. It might be some people feel like their mother is their best friend, their daughter, their granddaughter, their grandson, their father, their whatever. Our friends come from many places. So think about times when you thought, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." Oh, that's when true friendship is born. So I did find some really cool, funny jokes. So this one is called True Friendship. And this one, according to this joke, it says, true friendship is when you walk into a person's house and your Wi-Fi connects automatically. So you can interpret that on several different levels, and I'll just let you go wild with that. My Wi-Fi connects with your Wi-Fi automatically. And if you're a good friend, you walk into my house, you've been here enough to where your Wi-Fi on your phone just is automatic, that too. Several different levels. I didn't have to explain that joke to you now, did I? So what today is really about is friendship and the loyalty and the strength that comes when people unite in friendship. We need that today. Now's the time when we're appreciating our relationships more. We're appreciating our family members more. Oh, I do so cherish mine. I do so cherish all of my family. We appreciate our friends more. We don't take them for granted like we might have at one time. We appreciate more those people in our religious and spiritual communities. more now than ever. Our co-workers, maybe, our neighbors. I feel like I know my neighbors still not real well, but better than I have in the 10 years I've been here. I sit down on my dock, my neighbors over there on their dock, fishing, playing, enjoying the nature and the wildlife, the river otter, the turtles, the herons, all of that. My neighbor over here is down on their dock, but we're social distancing, and yet we go, hi, and we talk across the fence. I'm closer to my neighbors than I was before. Our fellow human beings, appreciating our fellow human beings, friendship. Talk about the loyalty and strength that comes when people unite. Let's unite, folks. So, I was reading a book and watching the movie Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and it was a story about two displaced migrant ranch workers, who were moving from place to place in search of new job opportunities. And it was during the time of the Great Depression. And George was intelligent but uneducated, and Lenny was bulky and strong, but he was mentally disabled. And it's a story of how important friendship and companionship and mutual trust really are. These men had an unusual relationship. Most men who were migrant ranch workers walked alone and stayed alone. But these two developed a bond, a special bond, a friendship, and they looked after each other. They had each other's backs. And it was just so beautiful. And at the time, and maybe still some today, unfortunately, men weren't supposed to have that kind of a loyal, close relationship where they looked after one another. But these guys did, and it was just so very special. And, they sacrificed their own well-being for each other. And some men might think that makes them look weak and vulnerable, and some women might think that as well. And they especially might have thought that in the midst of the Depression. But it's just... Steinbeck, in that book, said that unless we have common decency among human beings, among men, among women, among human beings, society will collapse. Now that's a big statement, but we need to stand together, folks, and we don't always do that as well as we could. Looking out for each other. It reminds me of the show called Friends. What's the song that comes before that show? When the rain starts to pour, I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me. Remember that song? That's just what it reminds me of. I'll be there for you. Looking out for each other. And one example from the book, Lenny and George and the two friends Of Mice and Men were sitting on a riverbank, and Lenny, being socially or mentally disabled, was kind of a pain for George sometimes, and George made a comment to him, it'd be a lot easier for me to travel on the road and get jobs if I didn't have you. And Lenny says, oh, I was only fooling, George. I don't want no ketchup. I wouldn't eat no ketchup if it was right here beside me. Because he'd said it wouldn't be nice to have ketchup on their beans, when George had said, it'd be easier for me if you weren't with me. So Lenny says, I was only fooling. And George says, if it was here, you could have some. And Lenny said, but I wouldn't eat none, George. I'd leave it all for you. You could cover your beans with it, and I wouldn't touch none of it. Well, maybe that's taking it a little far, but they really did have each other's backs, sacrificing for one another, looking out for one another. There are many references in the Bible about friendship, but the one that I landed on that I liked the most was in Job 2, chapters 11 through 13. Now, when Job's 3 friends heard of all his adversity, they made an appointment together to come sympathize with him and comfort him. Don't we need that to do that now for each other? Here's another joke, though. Friends never let you down. Well, and then this person says, well, at least not without a rope. Pull myself back up. Oh, wow. That also reminds me of a friend that John Wise and Maria Gomez sang at Unity Church in Stockton not too long ago. And it's from the Disney movie Toy Story. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead, you just remember what your old pal said. You've got a friend in me. If we got troubles, if you got troubles, I got 'em too. We stick together and can see it through. Our friendship will never die. You're going to see it's our destiny. You got a friend in me. Wow. By necessity, Lenny and George forged a friendship, but friends soon became family. And in that process, both men were changed. They became better, they became stronger, they became more hopeful. Wouldn't we like that for all of us? I've had friends all my life. Well, let's hope so. I can remember in 5th grade, I had one friend, and when she was absent, the teacher would say to me, "Wow, you're lost without her when she's not here." And looking back on that, I'm thinking, well, that was a little codependent, as many of my friendships have been in the past. A few years back, Corrine and Joan and Sarah and I became friends when we went to get certified in Texas to be connection practice teachers. And it was stressful, and we bonded. And after that, once a year, we vowed to get together, and we did for several years. We would get a cabin in Monterey or Pacific Grove, or I don't remember all the places we went. And we would come together, and we would each bring something to share. We worked on our spiritual work. We didn't just play. We played, but we worked on our spiritual work too. And it was grand. And I can remember one time we'd rented a cottage in Pacific Grove, California, close to the ocean. And one of my issues was that I had been in a relationship, an abusive relationship, where I was in fear. And it came out my feelings of not being cherished, which I think probably many of us have. But it was pretty traumatic. And Corrine and Joan and Sarah said, we're gonna do a baptism. And I went, I don't know about that. Okay, christening. And I went, okay, I don't know what that means, but okay, I trust you all. So they laid me on the dining table because we had no place else to do it. And each of them, one stood up my head and dabbed water that she had blessed on my forehead. And she kept saying, "You are cherished, you are cherished, you are cherished." And at the same time, Joan and Sarah were on each side of me holding my hands, caressing my hands, saying, "You are cherished, you are cherished, you are cherished." I'm telling you, that was powerful for all 4 of us. Just an example of how we can be there for each other. In the bleakest, darkest of times, we can help each other to see that there is a light. We can make time for each other. We can listen to that story of heartbreak. We can coax that other person to still be in the world. We can be with them, allowing them to be fully in their pain. Not take away that pain. Not take it away from them. This is their opportunity to learn and grow. Not to fix it for them, but hold the sacred space for them till they are able to do it for themselves. And that's what these women did for me. They knew, and we can know, for everyone, all our friends and family, that they have everything within them to make the best choices for themselves. They may sometimes bump against the rocks in the hard places, but they know deep down how to best survive and get through the middle of their challenges to the other side. And my good friend, Reverend Deanne Weir Moritzy, she's the Associate Minister at Unity San Francisco, wrote an article for Unity's new book called The Heart of Healing. I'll be ordering some of these for us. She had a similar experience, and she said those friends of hers had an unwavering faith in my capacity to heal. They willingly walked with me through the depths of darkness because they knew, even if I didn't, that I would once again ascend to the light. while I was sure I was broken, they knew I had just been broken open. They saw my wholeness regardless of the story I was caught up in. They held a mirror up to me again and again. This is who you truly are. This is what we see. We see you. My understanding of who I was began to shift. My own capacity to see wholeness, to see the love that was all around me, the love that was me, was reawakened. I was deeply and profoundly healed. And that was the case for me when those friends of mine were there for me in the way that they were. So, it reminds me of another song about friendship. You've got a friend when you're down and troubled and need some love and care, and nothing is going right. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together. People can be so cold. They'll hurt you, desert you, and take your soul if you let them. But don't you let them. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. My mother had some wisdom around friendship. You know how we always think that your friends, your true friends, are those there for you when you're down. But my mother had a different take on it, and I think my mother was a wise woman. She said, oh yeah, it's easy to be a friend to someone who's down and out and hurting. When it's really a test of a true friend is when they can still be true friends that come through and stay with you and rejoice in your happiness when you're up and doing well. That's the challenge, without getting envious or jealous. That's the challenge. That's when you see who your true friends are. Wow, think about that. I've never forgotten when she said that to me. My mother's wisdom. Which brings me to another song about friendship. I could just hear Dionne Warwick saying, keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me, 'cause I tell you, in good times and bad, that's what friends are for. That's what friends are for. All these friendship songs, so moving. And I also noticed about friends that sometimes there can be a person who they seem like an enemy until later we get to know them and understand them. And those kind of beginnings can be transformed into friendship, but only through understanding, and understanding only through getting to know someone. There was a story about this one kid that used to be all standoffish and aloof, hard to get acquainted with, and the other guys just thought he was just stubborn and whatever, rude, and they didn't have anything to do with him. He wouldn't linger with them after school. He didn't come early to school to hang out with them. But one day, he didn't show up for school. And they found out that his mother had just died and left him behind. And he had devoted to caring for her through a long illness. He had stayed with her till the last minute every morning, not coming to school early to be with the guys, and went home to her first thing at the end of the day, not staying to linger with the guys. Wow. That changed everything for them. So sometimes those can lead to the greatest blessings in real friendship. Those who we think a person just rubs us wrong, we think, oh boy, are you not on the same page as me? Get to know them if you can. Understand. There was another story, a booklet that was published during the World War. And the booklet was called It Must Never Happen Again. And it was in a certain sector of trench warfare. And the same British and German troops had opposed each other for months. But they had become, over time, so friendly, they got to know each other and understand each other. And it became such that at Christmas time, they tossed gifts back and forth across to one another. And so the higher-up said, this can never happen again. They had to send them away to other places because they wouldn't fight. Well, they wouldn't fight the way they wanted them to fight, after being such good friends. They could not hate their enemies when they knew them. Some of us are so lonely. We want friendship. And if you are lonely at times, maybe we all are at times, and it's because you have a great capacity within that's calling for expression by you, look for a way to make use of that loneliness. Look for a way to make use of that capacity, that ability. Your loneliness is like your empty rowboat, rowing among struggling people in water, reaching out for help. And you may feel sad because you're all alone in your boat. Why not share your boat with those who need your help? Your boat represents your capacity, your ability to love people. You have a big heart, capable of holding much love. And it must be filled with something. And you might have thought, you first have to receive love before you can give love. Many crave human friendship, praying that others be friendly with them, when the greatest need is to express love. Friendship is already within our hearts. So, I want to say, folks, loneliness cannot be overcome by getting something. It can only be remedied by giving something. The world is searching for magnets like you that draw to them souls seeking yearning. A person like you could be of great help to many of these people by helping them find God for themselves. You can do that. There's an old saying that says the only way to have a friend is to be one. Do not bottle up your friendly feelings and wait for someone to come along to uncork that bottle. Loneliness is friendship in reverse. There may be someone who's lonely in your very vicinity. Most likely there is, waiting for someone to come cheer them up. How can you and they get together for mutual cheering up if each of you sits back and waits for the other to start? Listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Remember that friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, "What? You too? I thought I was the only one." For many years now, my best friend has been Jimmy Marino. Many of you know that. And I came upon another best friend. And when I met this other best friend, we talked about anything and everything under the sun from the very first day, and still are to this day. And so I was telling Jimmy Marino about this new friend, and Jimmy said to me, "Oh, great. Now you have a Jim and a Tim." Yes, Tim Ford. We have talked till we're blue in the face from the day we met, and still are. Such good friends. And we're there for each other. Jimmy Marino and I have been there for each other. We've got each other's backs. And Tim and I are there for each other. Oh, look who's showing up. Hi, Tim. Join me.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
So it's with great joy that Tim and I would like to let you know that our friendship has deepened into a romantic one. And we're so excited.
Yes, we are.
From the get-go, Tim said, BFFs, best friends first. If we don't have that, none of it's worth anything. And he also said, and we have to have the spiritual element. We have to be in the same space spiritually.
I thought you were going to let me say that.
Oh, I thought, no.
But that is so important, and I don't know that we would have a relationship if we didn't have that first spiritual connection.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
Kind of hard to, say no when something like this falls into your lap. So we're saying yes.
we're saying yes, yes, yes. There's so much more that I wanted to say, but I just have forgotten everything after
Yeah, me
that.
too. You were supposed to have this all scripted for us.
No, right? Oh, so yeah, at the time when we talked about the fact that we were feeling romantic attraction to one another, we both said, each of us said, it's not convenient. The timing's not right. Tim had things going on in his life. I had things going on in mine. And we said, the timing's not right. It's just not convenient to do this. But
Once again, when something like this falls in your lap, especially at this time in our lives, you can't say no. You just can't push it away.
can't say, this is not convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are so blessed to have this friendship. And, I have lived alone since 2003, and I espoused to all my friends for years, I don't want a romantic relationship, while at the same time, secretly, there were days where I would imagine and daydream it would be really nice to have someone who would walk by my side on my ministerial path, on my spiritual path. And looking back, there were a lot of things that I daydreamed about and imagined, and I didn't realize it. But if I had a checklist of things that I dreamed about, Tim would check off every box on that checklist and more.
Now you're embarrassing me.
Yeah.
I was going to embarrass you, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Oh, so we just are delighted to let you know that we have said yes to a deepening a friendship into a romantic one. And
I want to thank everybody, starting with the board and the people that we have shared with this earlier on. Thank you so much for your love and support. It would have been really difficult without that.
Yeah.
We so appreciate all of you, all of our friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
we are so blessed to have you for friends. And we want you to know also that we are following the steps and the guidelines set forth by Unity Worldwide Ministries, just to be sure there's no inequality in power. I know we laugh about that one, don't we? Yeah, but other people might not feel that way. So, yeah. So here we are, folks. So delighted to share our news with you and to have your blessing and your friendship.
All right, I'm going to let you go back to work.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful for Tim and for all of you. It is our offering time. So when we give, we just remember that we give from the heart. However it is that we give, whether it's through monetary donations or whether it's through serving others, all of you are giving of your energy just to be together and to reach out to others in your heart, even if silently, praying for each other, calling each other. However we give from the heart. And if some of your giving is in the form of money, we remember that on our dollar bill it says, "In God we trust." We affirm our partnership with Divine Source. And whatever we give brings increase of some kind, even though it may not always look like the increase that we imagine it to be. So we bless our offerings, whatever those offerings are, sacred service, donations, and if you do find it in your heart to send some money to us, you can mail it to us or drop it in the slot in our door or direct from your bank or go to our website and do a PayPal payment. However, it is so much appreciated for those of you who have given in so many ways. We thank you. Today at 11:30 to 12:30 on Zoom, we have Unity Cafe today and every Sunday, a get-together after every Sunday message just to talk about whatever we want to talk about. Just a checking in with each other. And if you don't have the Zoom link and you would like to join us, let me know and I'll send it to you. So, with blessings and gratefulness for all, we say, the divine in me sees the divine in you. Have a great, blessed day. And all of God's, I think Tim just reminded me, and all of God's children say, Amen.